We're going to do a small test on all of you for memory recall. This type of a test is used by doctors when prescribing patients with Alzheimer's, so let's see how you stack up. Take a look at these 3 images and remember them for later. I'll be asking you to name the 3 objects at the end of the presentation.
What is Alzheimer's disease? According to the United Institutes of Health, Alzheimer's disease is a brain disease that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills, and eventually the ability to carry out the simplest tasks. It begins slowly and gets worse over time. Currently, it has no cure. In 1906, the disease was discovered by Dr. Alois Alzheimer. In 1910, Emil Kraepelin named Alzheimer's disease after Alois Alzheimer. In 1974, the National Institutes of Health was established. In 1976, Alzheimer's disease was discovered to be the most common form of dementia. In 1993, the FDA approved Cognex, the first drug to treat Alzheimer's disease. An important contribution of Dr. Alois Alzheimer is recognition of senile dementia being a disease not associated with the symptoms of normal aging. There are 7 stages of Alzheimer's disease. The first stage is of no impairment. The individual will not show any signs of memory problems. The second stage is of a very mild cognitive decline with symptoms manifesting through memory lapses. The third stage is of a mild decline resulting in people noticing a change regarding the person affected. Symptoms include forgetting words and names, loss of social skills, and inability to remember information that was immediately presented before them. The fourth stage is of a moderate decline with symptoms that include impaired mental capacity that diminishes mathematical abilities and loss of planning skills. The fifth stage consists of a moderately severe mental decline that becomes quite noticeable to those around, requiring assistance for daily activities. Symptoms include inability to recall home address or telephone number and assistance in picking out an outfit to wear. The sixth stage is of a severe decline resulting in a possible change of personality. Usually, those affected will require significant assistance in their normal activities. Symptoms include changes in sleep activity, delusional behavior, and no memory of recent events or recognition of their environment. And the seventh stage is of a very severe decline, resulting in the total loss of the ability to recognize surroundings, inability to maintain a conversation, and the loss of their movement. Who's affected by Alzheimer's disease? Every 68 seconds, someone in the United States will develop Alzheimer's disease. There is no cure for Alzheimer's disease. Ethnicity appears to contribute to the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Pictured are the effects of Alzheimer's disease affecting different ethnicities ranging in ages from 65 to 84.
Alzheimer's disease leads to nerve cell death and tissue loss throughout the brain. Over time, the brain shrinks dramatically, affecting nearly all its functions. The top left brain is a brain without the disease. The top right brain is a brain with Alzheimer's disease. One can see the differences in size when the two brains are overlaid, as shown by the picture on the bottom. Researchers believe there are 2 main causes for Alzheimer's: beta-amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles. Beta-amyloid plaques are formed when specific proteins in a neuron cell membrane are processed differently. Normally, enzymes called alpha-secretase and gamma-secretase snips the amyloid precursor protein, or APP, in 2 places. The neurons benefit from these APP fragments. In a brain affected by Alzheimer's disease, the APP is snipped by beta-secretase than by gamma-secretase. This creates shorter fragments of APP, which are now called beta-amyloids. The beta-amyloids then builds up to form plaques and becomes toxic to the brain. Neurofibrillary tangles are made when protein called tau is modified. The tau protein binds microtubules, the infrastructure of a neuron that supplies the neuron with nutrients, together. In Alzheimer's disease, abnormal tau separates from the microtubules, causing them to fall apart. Tau protein then binds together and causes the microtubules to collapse and bundle together. Without nutrients being transported to the neuron dies. Here are some common symptoms of people with Alzheimer's. Loss of abstract thinking. Individuals lose ability to draw conclusions and solve problems. It may become difficult to balance a checkbook because the patient has forgotten what to do with the numbers. Disorientation. Individuals can become lost on the street where they live, forget where they are and how they got there, and not know how to get back home. Lack of initiative. Individuals may become passive or unmotivated, sitting in front of television for hours, sleeping more than usual, and not pursuing his or her usual activities. Language problems. They may often forget simple words or substitute words with appropriate ones. An individual with Alzheimer's who can't find his or her toothbrush may ask for that thing for my mouth. Misplacing items. Individuals with Alzheimer's will put things in unusual places, such as iron in the freezer or wristwatch in the sugar bowl. Mood swings. Individuals may have rapid mood swings, from calm to tears to anger, for no apparent reason. Personality changes. Individuals may have severe personality change, becoming extremely confused, suspicious, fearful, or dependent on a family member. Poor judgment. A loss of judgment is a common symptom. A patient may dress without regard to weather, wearing several shirts or blouses on a warm day, or very little clothing in a cold weather. Others may give away large amounts of money to telemarketers, or pay for home repairs or products they don't need.
How do people get Alzheimer's disease? The greatest risk factor for the disease is increasing age. The older you get, the more your body and brain changes. Another big thing that causes Alzheimer's are genetics. There are 2 types of Alzheimer's. The first type is early onset, which occurs from age 30 to 60 but is rare. It's less than 5% risk of it occurring. And the second type is late onset, which happens after the age of 60 and is the usual age of getting the disease. Now there are 2 categories that scientists have found Alzheimer's genes in. One category is risk genes, which increases the getting Alzheimer's but not guaranteeing it will happen. Apolipoprotein, APOE, was the first gene variation found to increase risk of Alzheimer's. Everyone inherits a formula of APOE from each parent. The strongest gene that will make an impact for this disease is APOE-E4. Scientists say that there's a 20 to 25% chance of APOE influencing Alzheimer's. And then there's deterministic genes, which produces Alzheimer's and guaranteeing that anyone who inherits the gene will get the disease. Amyloid precursor protein, APP, was the first gene with mutations found to cause Alzheimer's in the inherited form. It can cause cell death. Scientists experimented ways to decrease the amount of APP. They experimented with 10,000 substances and 6 of them were positive outcomes. They say it's the beginning of therapeutic targets of Alzheimer's. And the 2 other components of this mutation are presenilin-1, PS-1, was the most influence for the disease, and presenilin-2, PS-2, that follows up. If Alzheimer's are caused by deterministic genes, it's called familial Alzheimer's disease or autosomal dominant Alzheimer's disease, ADAD. Other than genetics, there are lifestyle factors that may play a role for causes of Alzheimer's, which includes high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and high cholesterol.
Currently, there are no drugs available to prevent or cure Alzheimer's disease, but some drugs, such as Donepezil or Memantine, have been prescribed to slow down the development of the disease and to help assist patients in enhancing daily cognitive functions. Ongoing studies are being conducted about new ways we can prevent Alzheimer's entirely through drugs and early detection, but by far the best way to avoid the disease is through a healthy and nutritious diet and active lifestyle. Some of the suggestions for enhancing diet include foods rich in antioxidants, such as oranges, blueberries, potatoes, and yams. Antioxidants have been proven to reduce cell damage and the risk of degenerative diseases common in older adults. Foods containing omega-3 fatty acids are also great additions to diets. Omega-3 is known to reduce cardiovascular disease and helps to transport essential nutrients throughout the body for optimal functioning. Examples of these types of foods include salmon, olive and flaxseed oil, nuts such as walnuts, almonds, and pistachio, and again soy. Maintaining a physically active lifestyle and staying involved in a strong social environment has also proven to reduce risk and keep the brain stimulated. Alzheimer's is still a developing study. Although some research has been done on the disease, information is still somewhat limited, so it's important to consult with your doctor and become educated on the signs, symptoms, and effects of living with the disease. I'm going to show a short clip of a news show that was recorded a few years ago. This goes into the life of a son who's taken his mother in to live with him. She has a developing case of Alzheimer's, but no one in the family really understands the disease or how to handle it. This clip shows how this son gets a sneak peek into the mind of his mother and what she has to go through every day living with Alzheimer's.
Blaine Wilson's mother, LaWanda, came to live with him 4 years ago. He'd just married his new wife, Georgia, 5 weeks earlier. Blaine soon learned it was much harder than he thought.
Oh, God. Blaine! She's going to drive her car.
And later, she did. She lit fires. She wandered off. But LaWanda doesn't look sick, and she often seems fine, which makes it hard for Blaine and Georgia to understand how limited she really is. And that leads to frustration and resentment.
Just tell her to wash her clothes. I'm tired of washing. I bet you in her book she knows what to do. Are you afraid? I mean...
No, I'm not afraid. It's my mother. You don't understand.
The more we watched the tapes, the more it became apparent how little Blaine and Georgia really understood what was happening to LaWanda's mind.
Do you really feel you understand the world your mother now lives in?
No.
What's going on in her head, her brain?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I need to understand that then. I need to know what it's like.
So I told Blaine about an experiment developed by P.K. Bevel and administered by her colleague Lori Labershak. The experiment helps families and caregivers actually experience what it's like to have Alzheimer's.
I understand it's a pretty rough experience.
It needs to be experienced. If it'll help me to understand, I would love to.
I agreed to undergo the experiment with him.
Could you have a seat, please?
Our journey into another world begins here, in this bedroom, where Blaine and I are suited up with some deceptively harmless-looking devices. Goggles simulating macular degeneration, glaucoma, and cataracts, conditions that older people with Alzheimer's often have. Likewise, latex gloves are placed on our hands, and our fingers are taped to make our hands feel arthritic, clumsy, hard to bend.
Remove your shoes.
A substance is placed inside our shoes to make it harder for us to walk.
Ooh, that is uncomfortable.
And on our heads they place earphones, which emit an incessant jabbering, a clamor of noise that some Alzheimer's patients say is constant.
Individuals with dementia say, we're hearing all this stuff and they can't turn it off.
Then we're each given 5 tasks to perform, and only 12 minutes to accomplish them.
I'd like you to find the tie and put it on.
I can't hear you.
Blaine has a hard time concentrating from the start.
Your time begins now.
As he enters, Blaine is immediately disoriented. He staggers, reminding us of the way his mother looked on our tapes. Blaine tries to accomplish his first task, clearing the dishes off the table. But when he goes to put them away, he can't find the kitchen. So he gives up.
Well, I don't know where to put them.
Blaine finally finds the kitchen, but he can't remember why he's there. And again, the similarities to his mother were astounding.
She would open the cabinets, and then she would shut them. Mother, what are you doing? No.
If someone in your family or a friend is suffering from Alzheimer's, there are many ways you can get involved. The 2 biggest organizations I found in California are the Alzheimer's Foundation of America and the Alzheimer's Association. Just this past fall, I participated in the San Jose Walk, and there's another one coming up this October. They are very easy to participate in. You don't have to be in amazing shape, but they're very educational, and you can meet a ton of other people who are living with someone who has the disease that you can talk and ask questions about, or who actually have Alzheimer's. It's a great networking opportunity and also a way to give support to finding out more information about Alzheimer's and finding a cure. Okay, now it's that time. We're gonna see how well your recall is working. Do you remember what these 3 images were? Right, a hot air balloon, a turtle, and an apple. How'd you do?